Creator Plus is a function which applies mostly to HTML documents in Amatuba, but also in one aspect to a general sort of video curation perspective. Today's session will be quite short, and we do have quite a limited number of participants. So after I go through the basics, if anyone would like for us to go into their specific sites and take a look there, maybe sort of talk through some examples together, and we could do a bit of a tutorial almost on using the tool. Very happy to do that for the time we have. Let's get to it. Okay. If you don't mind, I'm just going to stay in this view because it's easy to switch between things. So we're going to cover, to do a little bit of basic recap on the content tool in Amatuba, on which Creator Plus is a supplementary feature, specifically looking at HTML templates. And then we'll get into the new functionality offered by Content Plus and Creator Plus, sorry. So just a general reminder of our foundation first approach, and this is setting up a site from scratch. The recommended approach for building a site from scratch is once you have requested a new site through ServiceNow, one would set up the grades and then, if necessary, any groups and rubrics that will be used in the course. Then moving on to setting up the various activities, those be your assignments, quizzes, and discussions, which, as you can see from the various lines in the diagram, link to things, like assignments is linked to rubrics and grades and potentially groups. And likewise with discussions, can also have rubrics, grades, and groups attached there. And then we bring all of this together with our learning materials and any excess external tools like Padlets, Gradescopes, Leganto if you're in the library, or things like checklists or surveys, all together in the content tool to make a learning environment or learning pathway. So quick recap of what content is. The content tool is the place where you share learning materials and build learning pathways. So sharing learning materials, it's like resources was in Vula. It's where the files live. It's also where you create a pathway so that students know where to navigate your course, know which resources they need to access, which parts of resources they need to access, and what activities they need to do, from participating in online discussions, to completing Padlets, to taking surveys, to submitting various assignments, and so forth. All of that can be incorporated in that content tool. When we teach students how to use Amatuba, we say content is where you go to read, watch, and listen to things as a minimum, but it can also be where courses build that learning narrative. And then just very quickly on structure, content, as I'm sure you all know, but at this point has a 3-level structure. You have your dark blue units, which are your fundamental organizing. I like to think of them as your old-fashioned flip chart folders. These are your big, top-level flip chart folders in which you can have lessons, which are just subfolders. So your units, your top-level folder, lesson is your subfolder, and folders are your subfolders. A little bit difficult if you are coming from Vula and you need to unlearn that lessons is no longer the lessons page. Units, lessons, and folders, they're just containers. They're just boxes in which you can put things and organize various forms of learning materials and learning activities. So the basic use of the content tool would be to replicate resources. It's just a set of folders with resources in, like readings and videos and project information, tutorial worksheets, etc. And that's a perfectly decent use of the content tool for many different courses, particularly in postgraduate courses, where a lot of learning takes place offline or off Amatuba at least, and you're really just looking for a fairly straightforward place to organize your materials. But you can also supplement this content, this resourcing or learning materials and learning sort of resources-based approach by annotating these various things with learning pathways. And the tool we use to do that is the HTML documents tool. I'll do a demonstration of all of this in case this is not ringing any bells. But that HTML documents can help provide the supplementary information how to access this reading, when to submit this particular assignment, supplementary resources, which may not be your core resources, but you want to take them out to YouTube videos, or the accounting department has a lot of videos they built a few years back, and they want to link out to the specific video on the specific topic relevant to accounting. And the HTML documents tool, which in Vula terms is most synonymous to the old lessons tool, is the tool to use that. So here we have that HTML documents tool. You add them to a unit or to a lesson or to a folder. You can use it to add instructional text for upcoming activities. And you can also embed resources, videos, images, etc. directly onto those pages. All of which can also be ascribed with the templates that we've designed. So there's a set of base templates. Once again, I will demo all of this, which can just provide a quick visual styling for your courses, but it's also definitely possible to build your own custom templates. And we at Silth will always be around to help you if you, I know we have a lot of GSB people today, for example, if you want your HTML pages to all look like GSB, use GSB branding, GSB fonts, etc. We can help you set that up and develop your own custom templates so to make your courses stand out and retain that sort of visual marker that you are working in a particular unit or faculty or group, etc. Okay, so that was our foundational work. Now we're going to go to Creator Plus and the 3 new features in the Creator Plus tool. So what Creator Plus is an add-on primarily to HTML documents, and you do need to be using HTML documents in your course design to make the most use of this tool, with one addition, which is the Enhanced Media Library. But Creator Plus is a set of functions or features which enhance the visual design and the opportunities for formative assessment in your course. There are 3 factors to it that we just briefed past. You can use elements to visually organize the content on the page. You can use practices, which are short, formative, and I'll define formative in a bit, questions like multiple choice questions, hotspot images, etc., where students can test their knowledge quickly and easily without going to another tool, like to the quizzes tool or to the surveys tool. You can embed those kinds of questions directly on your HTML documents and provide immediate feedback to your students. And you can use the media library, which is kind of a little bit separate, but it's a better tool for sharing videos, and it has a particularly good, although not flawless, automatic transcription and captioning system. So we'll start with elements. Elements are just ways to organize your content on your HTML document pages in different ways. So previously, you may have been using headings to organize your content, or if you got very fancy and used some of our templates, you might have had like the accordions feature that we developed there. But otherwise, they tend to be just document style, like long run-on text divided into various subsections as however you've organized in your course. Elements provide different ways of organizing your content. So we've got now, instead of using an accordions or tabs template, you can just embed an accordion or a tab directly through a rich text editor onto your HTML documents and populate those. But you also have other features like building timelines. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen here, and I will demonstrate all of this live in a moment. Call-out boxes to, if you want a specific piece of information to pop, stylized quotes, and more advanced features like flip cards or image carousels or hotspot images, all of which I'm going to demonstrate right now. So on this site, which I hope you're familiar with, the Amatuba staff self-paced training site, which for those who haven't used it yet, is a site that all staff have access to or can request access to, which contains resources on all the different tools in Amatuba and the ways of using them, all the way from using the class list to get your students onto the site, to setting up groups, because each of these pages has a narrative description, a text guide, and almost all of them have video guides as well. So this is a really great place to find worked examples and video and text guides on all the different tools in Amaturba, as well as your external tools like using Padlet, MS Teams, Gradescope, Wooclap, etc. For today, we're going to head over to the core learning tools. And here's our guide on the content tool. So it's quite extensive. And directly below is our advanced content feature, which is Creator Plus. So these are a little bit out of order. Let's go down to Insert Element. So here are some of the different elements that you can use in your course. I'll show you the full list in a moment, but here's some. For instance, this is a hotspot image where we create and embed an image onto the page. And then you can add hotspots to said image. Sorry, I don't know why this is being a little bit difficult. There we go. Which can contain pop-up information, links out, etc. So health sciences used to use these in quizzes quite extensively. You know, an anatomical image with various hotspots, and students would answer questions. You can do a non-marked version of that with some sort of image, and then various sections that students can learn more about by clicking on them. Like, for instance, that was more information about rubrics. Here we can click for more information on the content tool. So one could use this for geography, like you have a map of the particular area that you're studying and hotspot various sections of it and provide more information. Anatomical diagrams, like we showed, organograms for more business-focused courses, if you want to have an institutional organogram and highlight certain sections and provide more information, all available using the hotspot feature. Over here, we have flip cards. So these could be like these two ones are sort of prompting questions. What is the best use of insert practice? And click to flip and provide that information. So these could be like quick questions you want to ask your students as they work through the materials, like they've read something or they've watched a video, and then provide a quick opportunity for students to self-assess, to check their learning by asking a question or other use of anything where you need information on one side and they can flip to find the information on the other. Below that, we have accordions. So particularly if you have very long HTML document pages with lots of content on it, I see this most commonly in first-year courses where there's a lot of different things that students need to do, or they need to have stuff on tutorials and readings and assignments and support channels, etc. You can, instead of having those all in one long run page, you can put them into an accordion with expandable sections so students can see, here's all the information on, for example, the support resources, and then list there or contain the videos in that space, or put some of these other elements like a hotspot image directly under an accordion, for example. Here we have a timeline where we've created different steps of setting up your course process. So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Very useful for courses that are dealing with historical information, where you want to show the progress of time and the different kind of events in a sequence, or chemical industrial processes where there needs to be a set step, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, a range of different functions that you could use using this timelines feature. Now to add any of these, so we would create a new HTML document or edit an existing page. I'll just use this existing one. Let's scroll down to the bottom. Make some space for us. And at this plus icon, down at the bottom here, we have 3 new features: Set Element, Practice, and Layouts. And here are the range of different elements that you can use. So if we start with something quite simple, like a stylized quote, just for now, we can just say Ipsum Lorem. I don't actually know where Ipsum Lorem comes from, but if we, for instance, wanted to pop out a particularly vital piece of information, you could have these pop up block quotes. Or the other elements, like for instance, setting up a hotspot image. You would need to add an image from your PC. So I'm going to use this German ant. Upload the image. And then you could hotspot that image. For instance, say this one is the antennae. Sorry, it's a little bit not friendly for Firefox. Sensory organs used to detect. Dot, dot, dot. And see, we have our full range of functions here, so we could embed images and do various fun things and so forth in the space, and put in links to other materials. You could even embed images, links to assignments or quizzes if you wanted, your normal range of rich text editing features. Once you're ready, you can just take a preview to see what it looks like. And when you're ready, save and insert all image macro tags. So what have I not done? Hotspot marker. Do that.
Sorry, Thomas, can I ask something?
Of course.
Is there a limit in terms of the number of hotspots you can add to an image?
If there is, we haven't found it yet. But I'm sure there is, but it's at least not less than 20.
Yeah, you don't want to make it overly messy or complicated. I was just wondering if there's like you can do add 5 or something. Okay, thanks.
No, it's definitely quite a number.
Okay.
You will have to just check out all the different features. Yeah, so there we have our hotspot image added, and we can show this in a moment. Other elements, call-out boxes. We don't need to go through those. Flip cards, for example, you can create out various different flip cards. Once again, you can use these with images. So if we just use that same, yeah, we'll put the. So this is. Let's leave this. Let's say. And create different flip cards. So you could put them in multiple layers or multiple rows. You could have rows and rows of different flip cards as appropriate. But I'm not going to do that because that's going to take a bit too much time. Right. Okay, so those are our elements. Okay, accordions are also pretty useful, that you create various different accordions with titles and whatever content you want. So as mentioned, this is often used in courses where there's lots of different things in a week. For instance, there are resources and there are videos and there's support information and there's information about tutorials and workshops. And instead of having one very long page where students might get lost, putting that information in accordions instead, that students can click to the place they need. So access all the videos and see all the videos on the page, and then move to all the tutorial information and go to that. But it very much depends on the design of your courses and how you lay out content. Yeah. Our next feature, and what I'm actually honestly most excited about with Creator Plus, is the Insert Practice feature. Insert Practice, you can use this to insert short, formative, for the purposes of this webinar, I know this term can sometimes be used in different ways, but for this webinar, formative means unmarked and unmarkable. In other words, you can't attach a mark to these questions. They cannot report to the gradebook and cannot be tracked. So we can't tell us who has and who has not done these questions. They provide immediate feedback and students can take an unlimited number of times. So this does not replace quizzes, for example, for your more formal assessment methods. But you can use these questions to be quick MCQ on the video the students just watched embedded above, or a test your knowledge on a piece of legislation they might just have read, or the most important feature of a particular process they've just examined, for example. different types are very similar to the questions in quizzes, but they're limited to a slightly smaller number of true or false, MCQs with multi-answer variants, so more than one correct answer, fill in the blanks type questions, and 2 new ones which are sequencing and sorting questions. I'm going to show you what those look like on the existing page. So here's our information about insert practice. Those are different question types, and here they are. Here, for example, is a fill in the blanks question. The question is, what is the correct options for in which order should you create or adjust different tools in Amatuba when building or revising a site? We should first start with setting up our grades, then doing our assignments and linking 2 grades and bringing it together in the content tool. And you can check the answers and see whatever feedback is provided, or try again if they had answered incorrectly, like if they'd done things in the reverse order. Use the same thing with multiple choice. For example, this question about adding users, external users to the site. Who wants to take a jab at answering that question? Didn't think so.
Jill, I want to put Jill on the spot for the administration side. Jill, want to take a guess?
So Jill, we just go through this? Which one?
Yeah. I'll zoom in.
The first one.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
well
need
done.
to have some kind of UCT identity, which is staff student or team member. They can't just be added to any site because they need to have that identity. And of course, you have to be a lecturer or support staff to be able to add them on the site in the first place. Like, correct. As long as you're a lecturer support staff, you can add anyone with the UCT identity under any role. The 2 sort of newer question types, sequencing and sorting, is once again sort of like a process diagram. For instance, if we have here the sequences for building a site, how will you start this? Well, we first need to get our grades, then build or just any discussions, assignments, or quizzes, our activities. Sure, everyone's been added to the classes. In fact, we should probably do that before we build that and create new groups. Add on learning materials, and finally, publish the site. Now, let's make the site active. I hope I got that right. There we go. Cool. So this is if you want to test students' knowledge in a process, that they need to organize things in the correct process. And if we had done that incorrectly, like if we had done that, it will tell us which ones we got correct and allow us to try again. You will notice at the point, because this is embedded on a page and because I can check my answers or redo at any point, once again, these things are not trackable. So we can't tell if students have done these or not. These are not reporting to the grades tool, etc. They are very much a student test your knowledge type of question. Of course, encourage them to do it. And if you're providing useful feedback, like they have been embedded on these ones, then you can students will be more willing to do them. But these are not things for tracking participation or surveilling student activity. They are for the students to test their own knowledge in a quick and easy way.
Sorry, Thomas, will it, however, show up in the learner analytics that they have completed the activity?
No, because the only analytics here is have they accessed the HTML document. As soon as they access that, so there is really no ability to track these particular tools.
So if you want to know that they have completed an activity because it's sort of a key learning point they have to have achieved, what other way would you build it in then as an activity, rather like a survey?
I would use a quiz. I would use a quiz
yeah.
for this particular thing, yeah, because that is trackable. You can put due dates on those. You can still do all of the feedback that have been provided, but something like a quiz would be, if there's an absolute key learning point, then use a quiz. Yeah.
Okay, so the key thing for being able to track learner activity is it has to be not embedded on an HTML page. It has to be one of these under the units, lessons, or what is the other one? I keep forgetting those terms. Not lessons. The units, lessons, or folders. Hey, it's got to be something there.
Yeah,
you can see they've completed an HTML page, for example.
So you can't tell that. Yeah, but that's all. And only the completion of a page is, did they access the page? So I completed both of those pages, 3 pages, 4 pages.
True.
Gotcha. I didn't even read them. It didn't even have time to load, but nevertheless, I completed, according to the system, those things.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Sure. Our last question type is a sorting one. So if I had various different categories like this, and various sortable items, and I wanted students to sort things into the correct units, like which one of these are administrative tools? Well, groups and class list are admins. Padlet is an external tool. Content is core teaching. Assignments is core teaching. Hypothesis external. This is core teaching. Grades is administrative. Discussions and WooClap. That was all right. Yeah. But you could use this for any kind of activity where you need students to sort things in whatever order. In this case, what I've done is just the various tools on NumToolr. Okay, to add those various different functions to your site, once again, they're embedded on an HTML page. We'll go down to our new section here. We go insert, practice, and here are our range of question types. I'm not going to go, well, I can't just do multiple choice because it's very easy. What is the weather like today? Of course, that is our question as well. And put in however many options we have. I'm just going to keep it down to 2 so we don't spend too much time. You'll see this is very similar to how you would set up a question in quizzes. So once again, you can change your enumeration or add feedback. Something like this. And provide generalized correct or incorrect feedback if you don't want to provide item by item feedback. For some reason, a lot of these insert practices, they ask you to close these dialogues before inserting. So just a heads up when making those. I won't go through the other question types like multiple select or fill in the blanks. Just to note that the sequencing and sorting take a little bit of time getting used to. They're not particularly difficult, but you'll see it's just a little bit more complicated. So you might need to test this out a few times. Here are your various steps, like step 1, step 2, step 3. And then these are the items that go under said steps. So, and then put on shoes, for instance, if this was your getting dressed sequence. So it takes a moment to get used to this, but it's not hugely difficult to set up these different question types. You just might need some time to get used to doing them. For people who used to use the old questions tool, that was the questions which were embedded on lessons pages in Vula. This is the closest equivalent to that, although that was slightly different in which you only had multiple choice or free text, and those could be graded. Here you have a wider number of question types, but they can't be graded. But the purpose of this tool really is to students to have watched a video, for example, or worked their way through a diagram, done a reading, and immediately you want to do a very quick, very small test your knowledge to sort of do reinforcement of learning directly there and then without taking them out to a quiz, which is a bit more complicated to set up, and also is in a bit of a different space in the site. So it is always also useful to think, that if you leave your quizzes tool for summative, 4 marks activities, then students are going to engage with your quizzes in a particular way. If they have these very quick, very easy, directly on the page formative activities, there's no pressure, there's no loss. And also means that while I'm working through an HTML page like this, I know I am in a low stakes environment. I can just quickly test my knowledge, okay, revise that, see where I went wrong, and move on. And then you retain these quizzes, assignments, discussions tools for other kinds of learning activities. So it very much depends on your own pedagogy, but this can be a very useful tool for those quick, really for quick knowledge checks. So I'd say is where this tool shines. The last function, which I'm not even going to go through because it's very, very basic, is there's an insert layouts feature. And this just creates divisions, which if you want to panel your content, 2-panel, 3-panel, or an unbalanced panel section. So this might be if you want to have a video and a bit of a narrative next to said video. I forget at the moment what, I think they're called sections on Fuller Lessons pages, which allows you to do the same thing. But if you ever want to organize your content, you also can just quickly make these different panels. If you were very skilled in HTML, you could do this using div codes as well. But this is just a nice additional feature there. All right, is there any questions on practices or elements before I move on to Media Library? I'm going to check if there's anything in the chat. Oh, that's not the chat, that's Q&A. There is nothing in the chat. Okay, I'll take by silence that there's nothing that people want to ask. I'm just going to save and close. The third function of Creator Plus is actually a pre-existing feature, but it's become a bit more enhanced and a bit more powerful. And that is the Media Library. So the Media Library, to a little bit of my frustration, because I think it's a bit weird where they put it, but it's the preferred solution for adding videos which don't come through lecture recording. So if you had made your own video, like we have lecturers who use lightboards, for example, those are those see-through whiteboards where you can write something on the screen and link resources to that. I can show you an example in a moment. But this was accessible before Creator Plus. It's become a little bit more powerful now. So to access your media library, it's actually attached to your name. So you click on your cogwheel next to your name in the top right, and here, media library. Because of my role, I see everyone's videos, but you should be only seeing your own videos. So when you log in, you'll see a much smaller selection of videos. In fact, you probably won't see very many at all at the moment. Here you can upload videos from your PC. Once the video has been uploaded, it'll appear here. So for instance, I have these different videos here. And then by clicking on the 3 little dots and clicking edit, you have a number of small functions that you can do. One of which is a closed captioning feature with a pretty good auto generation. So this video, I'm not sure if I'm sharing with sound. I don't know. Can you hear this?
No, you're not sharing sound, Thomas.
Okay. So to give some context on the video, then I'll just mute on my end too. This video was taken in the middle of a busy meeting room, and you'll be able to see in a moment with how many people. There were 7 or 8 people all talking at full volume. And I just wandered around shoving this into people's faces. And you can see even in that very noisy student environment, we managed to get a wide range of different people's accents, and it recorded pretty well the various different auto captioning features. I'm actually quite impressed that the fact that they managed to get sort of non-European accents is actually pretty impressive. So this is a bit like the old auto captioning feature in lecture videos, but a lot stronger, closer to the Google automated transcripts. So you can set that up by opening any video that you've uploaded. Where is that one called? Over here. Sorry, editing said video. And under closed captions, clicking auto generate to generate transcripts and captions for your video file, which you can then go and edit at any time as well. If something came up incorrectly, you can go and quickly change that, put in someone's name, etc. If you do already have transcripts, but that's in like VTT format, these are kind of for more formally created courses and so forth. You can also upload your own transcripts to the video and then have them populated there. You can
Sorry to interrupt, Thomas. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So if I understand this correctly, this function, the media function, is sort of on your profile and not linked to a particular site. So you upload it there, and then once you work on a site, you can go and choose, and it won't upload it to the site's files folder. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Which I find quite frustrating because it's different to how everything else works in Amatuba, but one of the big advantages is that if you lose access to a site, but your video is in a media library, you can still add it to whatever site you want. So to add it to a page, you would add it like you would add to any resource by going to the Insert Stuff feature, Media Library, and search for a video like one of these REAP videos, for example. Now, if you're importing content from another site, even a site that you don't own, if someone else embedded a media library video on that page and you import that whole page to your site, that video is still going to be there, even if you don't own that video. So the videos just live in a different space than they do. They're not in the managed files. They're in this other cloud space called media library. So yeah, if you are duplicating a course year on year and you need to hand that over to someone else, they won't lose access to those videos in the site. They're just going to need to copy and paste directly inside the site rather than going to media library. Can be a bit tricky to get your head around, but one of the big advantages, it means that for video heavy sites, duplicating year on year, we're not tripling up terabytes of extra video storage by duplicating videos. They're just linking back to a central video repository. So for long-term sustainability and reducing, massive server costs, this is a more sustainable long-term solution. Although it does break with the logic of how sites are otherwise organized, which is a little bit frustrating. There's two other features on Media Library as well. You can put at various places marks. So if you want to mark your video like, various important parts, like an introductory phase, and then we have the main content, examples, and conclusion. You can use that marking feature over there. And cut, although I haven't done a cut for a while, yeah. So if you want to top and tail videos that you've started recording, or you want to cut out a piece of a longer video and just keep that smaller fragment and reuse that, you can use this cut feature to cut pieces of your video and then finish and save to provide smaller sort of excerpts of your video as you go. Now, you don't need to use Media Library. If you're using lecture videos as your primary video tool, you can absolutely keep using that. You can still use managed files, but we would like to encourage people to use Media Library for long-term sustainability going forward, and because of its very good captioning features and those quick editing things that can be used quite nicely to provide additional accessibility to video content in your course. All right, and we've come to the end of the features in Creator Plus. So insert element to organize your content in different ways and lay it out in a more attractive or more engaging format. Insert practices to make these small formative, not even assessments really, but small formative exercises that students can do quick test your knowledge and receive immediate feedback on their learning. And the new features in Media Library, which are mostly to do with long-term sustainability of video content and for the very nice auto transcription format feature, that you can also use to edit later if you want to improve the quality of transcripts. Transcripts and captions are very useful for students who are accessing at different levels of ability, or who, like me, actually find it much easier to read than to listen to content. So they are very important features which do assist learning. We have 5 to 10 minutes left. If anyone would like to talk through a possible use case example, or would like to open up for broader discussion, please feel free. I could even go to your site and look at a bit of, adding one of these features to said site if you'd like. Otherwise, we can close the meeting and give you back 15 minutes. Would anyone like to volunteer or just talk through some ways they think this tool might be useful?
Thomas, if I may, I think that is really extremely useful. In fact, I had a meeting with Janet and Nadine just before this one, talking about the distance speech design process. And we were exactly discussing, once a student has, for example, watched a video, to quickly test their knowledge. And I think this insert practices tool is going to be amazing for that. That said, just thinking about how, and I don't know the other colleagues on the call, if they, the Amatuma sites are in the student view is like ours are at the moment. I remember when we did the Amatuma trials in the beginning, we had that embedded view. Is that still an option?
Yes. Okay, who's on the call? Yeah, none of the mainstream courses. Yes, and I would say particularly for GSB, actually, because there's the slightly different student cohort that you have. Why it's not kind of a mainstream option is because we don't want every student to be seeing a radically different site experience. But I would say in GSB and for postgraduate courses in general, having the embedded option is definitely still available on request. We can set that up for you.
Okay. Now I'm specifically thinking about my full distance speech adapt. That I think that is almost a must to help navigate students through the learning pathway.
Yeah. If that's something you would like to look at, drop me an email and we can chat about setting that up for you, or just transferring new or existing courses to that new course view.
Or maybe just my sandbox to convert that to an embedded view for a student view. Then I can play around with it.
Okay,
I'll send you
should I do that? Okay, fantastic.
Oh, yeah, you can do it now if you've got 2 seconds. That would be great, thanks.
I can't set it, unfortunately. It's the help desk has to do that, but I'll send a message to them to do that for your sandbox. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Okay.
Sure.
I think this is an awesome tool. It will really enhance the development of the HTML pages a lot and helping with those learning pathways. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the positivity. It's always so lovely to work with the GSB. You guys do things in such interesting ways. It's really exciting. Okay. If there are no further questions, he said, inviting further questions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then I will, yes, indeed, Lauren. We can close the meeting, give you 10 minutes back. There will be an email going out with a link to the slides. Of course, you'll have access to the recording and a link to the self-paced training site for some examples. If this is something that you would like to use in your courses and you want some assistance with, of course, you have access to it right now. You can do it. But please always feel free to set up a consultation and we can build something together, or troubleshoot it, or even just talk through some instances where you might want to use this or different tools depending on your specific learning needs. We are always here for those kind of consultation support. Otherwise, have a lovely afternoons, everyone. Keep warm, although I see it is brightening up outside, and have a fantastic rest of your week.